be on camera, that's okay. Just make sure you turn off your camera. I'm gonna press record right now. All right. And to introduce myself, my name is Taylor Webb. I work at Sustainable Connections in both the Green Building and Smart Growth program and also the Energy program. So I'm really excited to introduce this event because I actually work as part of the Community Energy Challenge and work every day very close to Emily and also with Mark. So I'm happy to introduce them. But I'm going to go through a little bit of housekeeping things first. So first, I want to do a land acknowledgement. I want to pay respect to the Coast Salish tribes. We are hosting our tours and talks on borrowed land. So I just want to pay respect to the Coast Salish tribes and their land today. I also want to acknowledge the many wonderful things that the Green Building and Smart Growth program does, including this Green Home Tours and Talks, but also some other really fun things like every other month we host the Green Building Nerds and our annual Green Building Slam, which is super fun. We normally host that in December. All of these events and things to do help to create healthy and resilient built environments. And we're able to offer that through technical education and advocacy through our Green Building and Smart Growth program at Sustainable Connections. I also, of course, want to thank our wonderful sponsors. They are helping make this event possible, but also the work that we do year round. So special thank you to all of these, and you might recognize some of these names. A lot of these sponsors are also hosting workshops with us this weekend. So thank you to all of our sponsors. We really couldn't do this without you. I also want to throw a little plug to say, please, please, please take our survey. This is the first year we're doing the Green Home Tours and Talks, and we would love to hear some feedback. And also we'll give you little prizes as well. Actually, they're big prizes, so I won't say little. But for each event that you attend, if you take a survey, you will be entered to win a $50 gift card to the Restore. And we also have a grand prize that for everyone who takes a survey, you can take a survey for every event you've attended. Everyone who takes that survey will be entered into our grand prize drawing, where you'll win a $100 Think Local First gift card, which is redeemable at dozens and dozens of local restaurants and shops in Whatcom County. And also you will get a year's worth of Woods coffee delivered right to your door, which is really exciting. So make sure you fill out those surveys. We could really use that feedback, and it'll help us with future years and how to make this the best event possible. Just some housekeeping Zoom notes. I will say a lot has been on Zoom lately, and I'm sure you've all heard this, but just as a quick reminder, we want to remind everyone to keep your video on, but your sound muted. That's just to make sure that there's no background noise going on. But we do really want to encourage you to chime in if you have questions. The group isn't too big, so feel free to interrupt if you need, or you can use the chat function. We'll be monitoring the chat. So if you don't want to speak up, feel free to put in your questions in the chat and we'll make sure we answer those. You can show your reactions by using the reaction button, which is really, really fun. Then you can use the little clap when people do a good job. And also, we highly recommend you using speaker view. There's multiple different speakers, and so if you use a speaker view, the person who's talking will be nice and big for your screen. And mostly have fun. We're really excited to have everyone here. And we want this to be really informative and fun for everyone. So don't hesitate to speak up, ask us questions, and get involved. And with that, I am going to stop sharing and I will hand it over to Mark and Emily from the Community Energy Challenge.
Hey everyone. Thank you so much for coming. It's really cool to see such a full room, especially on such a beautiful day. So you should go get that vitamin D after this. But yeah, just really thankful and excited to interact with you today. My name is Emily Larson-Kubiak, and I work at Sustainable Connections. I'm the Energy Efficiency and Renewables Program Manager. Been with SC for over 10 years, so I'm a huge fan of what Sustainable Connections does and stands for. And yeah, just excited to see the evolution of this event. Just really briefly want to give you a rundown about what we're going to cover today, and a little housekeeping and a little bit of background. So we came to this talk. Hopefully you've seen some really cool green building eye candy today. I would say this is like, if that's like the fancy dress, this is the really like super reliable underpants. We're gonna talk about energy audits and energy efficiency retrofits. And you will hopefully come away seeing why these are near and dear to my heart. I just have one, as a really important part of creating a high performance building. And a lot of the time the focus goes to new construction, but really want you to understand that there's a lot that can be done with an older building to create a high performance building. The other thing we want to do is demystify the process. Like, I know when people are wanting to make upgrades to their house, it feels like a lot of information. And I'm here telling you there's like this one other thing that you need to do. And I want you to really see how it's a tool for making the whole process easier, demystifying a lot of the different aspects and helping prioritize like really how to do an efficient, effective energy efficiency upgrade. So what we're going to do is we are going to watch an awesome video together. Instead of passively watching it, you have three weatherization energy audit experts here who can answer questions as you pop them into the chat, or you know, if we have any inspiration of something cool we want to point out, we will talk. So feel free, don't be shy during the video. We want to see your questions in real time. We're going to actually have a walkthrough of Eric Wheeler here of his house as he performs an energy audit. So I want you to feel like you are following this friendly person around and have free access to get your questions answered. After that, that's kind of the main event. I'm going to do a little segment on some self-assessment tools. You're thinking, this sounds great and useful. Am I a good candidate for this? Like, what sort of things can I easily kind of ping for myself as I'm looking in my attic or my crawl space? And we'll show some examples. You can do a quick self-assessment and know when it's time to call a professional energy auditor. And then finally, for the little bit of eye candy, we want to showcase a local home that had some really expensive retrofits that turned it into a really high performing older home, just based on these principles that we're looking at today. Maybe not as cool as like seeing the nice countertops and flooring and everything, but really going to have a huge effect on how you feel when you're in the house: comfort, durability, saving money on your bills. So as Taylor mentioned, and hopefully it's come up today, we work for a program called the Community Energy Challenge. And I'd love to see a show of hands if you the little hand raise reaction or a party blower or whatever, if you are familiar with the Community Energy Challenge program. Yeah, seeing some thumbs up. Cool. Well, this program's been operating in a 4-county area for over 10 years. And really our whole goal is to make energy efficiency easy, affordable, and more accessible for people. We provide low-cost energy audits, expert advice, help people navigate making the energy efficiency retrofits. And then we have some financial incentives that are available exclusively to people who participate in the program, which is super cool. And today I'll get a little peek into what part of that audit process is like. It's a partnership between Sustainable Connections, which runs the commercial side of the program. So we offer these services to businesses. We're going to be talking about the residential side today, but I just want to let you know there's a similar suite of services for local businesses. I'm actually the contact person for that, or Taylor. If you want to learn more about that, you can look on our website, and feel free to reach out to either myself or Taylor. You can use the private chat feature if you want to pass on your contact info. We can have a good conversation about your commercial energy audit, which I'll just say slightly different process since every business is so different. We just tailor it to the business's needs. But this talk will still give you some idea of what we'll be looking at. So yeah, and the residential program, I'd say our target demographic is homes that are at least 30 years old. There's extra financial incentives for homeowners who fall into sort of that middle income category, who wouldn't qualify for a low income program, but maybe aren't, experiencing that higher level of income that makes the projects more accessible. So we're trying to bridge some of that gap so that this is accessible to everyone. But we do have services for every household, every income level. So again, encourage you to get in touch with specific questions and we can figure out what's right for your household. That's all I want to say, just making sure you understand a little background about the Community Energy Challenge and what we're going to cover today. Taylor pretty much covered it for housekeeping, but we would love to interact with you on the chat. So don't be shy. Don't bottle up your questions to the end because we want to have a dialogue here. And so with that, I'm going to pass it over to Mark, who's going to walk us through the video, and Eric and I will be here as well if any relevant questions come up.
Thanks, Emily, and hi, everyone. My name is Mark Schofield, and I work with Opportunity Council, which is a local nonprofit community action agency. And specifically, I manage the Community Energy Challenge, focusing on the residential side. And really excited today for the world premiere of what is possibly the cutest video you've ever seen about home energy audits. And you'll see what I mean here shortly. Before we launch into that, I just want to share a quick story about why audits can be really useful. So about 11 years ago, my wife and I moved here to Bellingham for a job. We moved from Colorado. And it was springtime, April, May, and in Colorado, where we left, it was sunny and warm. It just happens the year we came, it was really quite miserably cold and gray and rainy in May. And we had just bought this little 1925 built Craftsman home, and we were shivering inside our home. And our old scary gas wall furnace kept kicking on and kept kicking on. It's like, what? This is not good, and we have to figure this out. Our realtor didn't tell us about this. So we, right around that same time, we'd heard about this new program that was just starting up called Community Energy Challenge. And we learned that we could pay a little bit of money and have someone, an expert, come and look at our home and help us figure out what's going on, why we're so uncomfortable, and why our bills, which we just started to get, seemed relatively high. So we signed up, and through that audit experience, we learned a few things that me, as kind of a neophyte homeowner and someone who didn't have this level of expertise in building science, didn't really understand myself. We had no insulation in our walls, no insulation under our floor. There were about 2 inches of rock wool insulation in our attic. And collectively, all of the air leakage in our house amounted to the equivalent of like a beach ball size hole in our wall that was always open to the outside. So that together kind of explained to us, all right, there's something going on here. We don't like how uncomfortable we are. We don't like the fact that all this air leakage is coming into our home from places like our crawl space. And so with the assistance of Community Energy Challenge, we were able to take on a full project and really do air sealing and insulating all around our house and getting a ductless heat pump in, and all these things that have made our house in the last 10 years or so really comfortable and allowed us to have reasonable energy costs. So I think we're down to about 8,000 kilowatt hours a year. Our home's all electric now. So anyways, that was my personal experience and why an audit proved to be really valuable. So that is my way of setting up this video, which is going to show you kind of from start to finish what an energy audit entails, what happens when you have someone come and do an audit of your home. It's about a 20-minute film, so we'll go through, and I might pause just at a couple points to highlight things, but we'll get through that and continue on with the program. I do want to acknowledge that the star of the video and the filmmaker are here, Eric and Laura. So thank you for attending today, and thank you for your role in this video. One other caveat I want to give before we start this. This was Eric doing an audit of his home, and it looks like pre-pandemic days when we were all carefree and running around without masks. I want people to know that if you do an audit through Community Energy Challenge, we have very thorough COVID safety protocols, and your auditor will be wearing an N95 mask and taking all sorts of other measures to protect themselves and the homeowners. So just wanted to point that out there, but it looks so carefree and I love it. So I'm going to launch this video. I also would recommend people, you might want to turn up your volume just so you can hear. It's a little bit quiet at points, but you should be able to hear just fine. So let's get it going.
Hi, I'm Eric, one of the home energy advisors with the Community Energy Challenge. And today I'm going to do an energy assessment of my own house, and I'll give you a tour along the way.
Mark, I'm not sure if everyone is experiencing this, but I don't hear any sound right now.
Is it because I'm muted? Let me try this.
I'm with it.
Mhm.
There we go. Thank you.
The house wrap is so now water can get behind that and damage the inside of the house if it's left like this for too long.
What are you doing right now?
So I'm measuring all the exterior dimensions of all the walls, and then I'm going to measure all the window sizes.
Hi. Okay.
You gotta come help me.
Abby, what you doing?
I want to see how big it is.
What?
I want to see how big it is.
What's it?
Oh, how it's not big enough.
Not big enough.
Abby, why are you measuring the house?
I'm measuring the house because I want to help that. Lot more steps, Dad. Lot more steps.
Thank you for your help, sweetie.
You're welcome.
Henry, what's your favorite tool?
Laser measuring tape.
Why?
It's so cool.
See where the dot lands? Now I measure that it's 3 feet away. See that?
Okay.
Can you reach up there?
You can't.
Yeah, that's because it's 11 feet high.
Okay, can I have it? Please. More fun spot to be in. I know. Yeah.
And I just want to note here real quick that when an auditor is out there, they're going to take a very accurate, thorough kind of measurement of your home, make a diagram, and this is going to assist with doing energy modeling on your home and also assist in kind of communicating with contractors where work needs to occur.
Something we do with the assessment is we check the efficiency of all the appliances, like the refrigerator. We check whether the appliances, like the dishwasher here, are Energy Star rated.
Excellent. This is what I hoped it would be measuring at, about 68 cubic feet per minute.
So that tool he's using is called a manometer, and it can measure the pressure difference between different hoses that are plugged in. And depending on the configuration, you can learn a lot of different things about how air is moving throughout the house and what the pressurization.
I'm seeing that these walls have no insulation in them, which I already know. It's just sheetrock on top of the concrete walls with no insulation between them. This camera measures how hot things are. So see where your feet were on the floor when you walked over to the stairs? It made the floor warmer where you were standing, so you can see the footprints still on the floor.
Oh,
There's your feet, they're really warm. And then move back a little bit. Move back. See, look, you can see your footprints on the floor still, even though you moved your feet.
I want to see mine.
There's your warm feet.
Well,
Can I see it right now? What are you doing, guys?
I'm measuring how much insulation is against our ceiling up in the attic.
Oh, what's insulation?
It's pink fluffy stuff here.
Is it good to eat?
It is not good to eat, but it's good for keeping houses warm. At every energy assessment, we explore the attic and the crawl space and look for insulation levels. And we look for moisture damage, or if pests have been getting into the attic or crawl space, we look for pest damage. We look for air leakage locations. And we look for any ducts that are running through the space, like the ducts that connect your fans to the roof. So that's what I'm going to explore in my attic. Well, we have a lot of insulation in places, but then it's squished down where people have been walking through here. So that makes cold spots down inside the house. You can see the bathroom fan duct over there, that white accordion looking thing. It goes up to the roof. That's our fan duct. And it's supposed to be made out of this metal, and that's why this is up here, so I can replace it. I haven't done that yet. And then you can actually see a lot of water damage to parts of the roof, because a lot of water has been entering the attic and staying here longer than it should. All the nails are rusted, and there's water stains on the ceiling right under these nails because water has been collecting on the nails where it's colder and then dripping down onto the ceiling or dripping onto the insulation. So that means a lot of water is getting up into the attic from the outside and from the inside of the house. It comes up into the attic through air leakage locations. So if we can seal up all the air leakage locations, we can stop a lot of water from getting into the attic.
And I just want to pause there to note that energy auditors have a significant amount of training and expertise in building science. So when an auditor comes to your house, they're going to be looking for how do temperature and air movement and moisture and all these other things interact to affect the efficiency and the stability and everything of your home. So anyways, something that I benefited from when I got my audit that many years ago.
Our home, part of the upstairs level is over the garage. So we're here in the garage looking up at the garage ceiling. There's this nice hole cut in the garage ceiling so we can see the floor above. And we can see that it's 12 inches deep, but only 6 inches of insulation is in that gap. So this insulation sits down against the garage ceiling and leaves a big air gap before it reaches the floor. So it basically isn't doing anything.
Setting the thing up's the hardest part of the energy audit.
Fan, and it's gonna pull air in to our house and then blow it back out of our house.
Wait, then it's not blowing us.
It won't blow you unless you're standing on that side of it.
Can I go do it? Please?
Yes, you can. It's after I turn it on.
Okay, I'm gonna go get ready.
Okay, does anyone want to help me turn it on?
No.
No? You all want to get air in your face?
No, I want to
All right,
help.
come here, sweetie.
Turn me that.
Okay,
Help turn me that.
okay. First, I'm gonna open it up.
How do you open it up? I don't. How
Okay,
can you open that up?
then we're gonna turn this knob. So can you turn that knob for me? Thank you.
I did
Can you
it.
turn it a little more?
Yes. We did it. Oh, very much.
This number right here is how leaky our house is. It's not that bad for how old our house is.
How old is our house?
Can you make it louder?
How old is our house?
And our house is about 30 years old.
Yeah, Mark, let's take a little pause to talk more about the blower door since it's kind of a iconic part of the energy audit process and just give a little more background on how it works. Eric, do you want to take it or want me to? There's sort of a standard pressure that you're aiming to get the house to, and that's something he can read on that manometer pressure meter. So that's how he can look at the number and say, like, this is pretty okay for an older house, because he's comparing it to a standard amount across different building types, what you'd kind of expect from that. Anything you want to add?
Yeah, just to clarify the concept there, like the whole shell of the building has been closed up. So all the windows and all the doors are closed up, and all the air that's moving through the fan is only coming through all the little holes or big holes, depending on the house, that are in the ceiling and walls and floor. And it's all channeling right to the fan and then getting measured right at the fan. And then we do other tests later on to specifically figure out where all those air leaks are occurring. This is a good way to just measure it all at once.
That's one of the really great things, because sometimes there's bigger holes and you know there's this leaky window, but one of the things you can't really do on your own is you can do with a blower door assisted air leakage sealing. So run the fan and they can find all of those leaks, either feeling them or they'll use a smoke stick to be able to see where the air is moving and find all those things you wouldn't be able to really identify on your own in your house.
Yeah, great. Good explanation there. Thanks, guys. All right, I'll restart it now.
So now I'm going to use the infrared camera to find the air leaks while the blower door is running.
there's some air leakage happening. Because it's not an airtight seal around the attic access hatch. So I'm seeing that it's very cold at the top of this wall cavity over here. And I know that that's because on the other side of that wall, there's a large space that's open to the attic, and the furnace and water heater vent pipes are running through that cavity up through the attic, through the roof. This number is telling me that there's a lot of air leakage happening between the garage and the house. So there's a lot of holes in the walls between the garage and the house. And then the floor that's over the garage probably has a lot of holes in it that we need to seal up.
I want to go another circle of the baby. Until I speak to you.
So this photo of that can light right there is showing all that cold air from the attic, which is colder on this color scale here. That cold air from the attic is coming in through that hole in the ceiling around the light fixture. Doesn't fully close on the duct. Okay, while the blower door is running, I'm going to use this and this to measure the leakage happening through all of the ducts that come from the furnace. Can you move your foot? You guys want to see me use this tool? Okay. This tells me if there's any gas leaks in our house. Do you guys know what gas is?
Like what? Not the kind of gas that's here that you're talking about.
Gas makes the furnace work.
So natural gas.
Natural gas, you're right, and it makes the water heater work too.
Oh.
These there's lots of these seams where the pipes connect together. I have to check every single one of them on the whole property.
Well, that's going to be taking a long time.
It is gonna take a while. Have you ever seen these though?
No.
These are like chimneys for the furnace and for the water heater.
Oh, that heats up water.
That heats up water and that heats up the air in our home. And when they're turned on, they make exhaust, like poisonous exhaust, and they send it out through the vent pipe all the way out through the roof to the outside. So I'm going to do a test here to make sure that that poisonous exhaust is always going out through their vent pipes and doesn't ever come into our house.
This is my job, Henry.
So next I'm doing the safety test on the furnace and water heater, and I'm going to drill into the vent pipe and measure how much carbon monoxide is getting produced inside by both appliances, and make sure it's a safe level. And then I'm going to make sure that that exhaust can't spill into the home when they're running. Now I'm going to seal up that hole I drilled in the vent pipe with some high temperature caulk and a big screw.
Dad, what are you doing?
Hi, son. You remember all those numbers that I was measuring at the audit?
Mm-hmm.
I'm putting them all in my computer to figure out how good the home is, how to make it better.
What is that?
That's the drawing that I made of the home.
Oh, that looks cool.
Yeah, helps me do a bunch of math.
Oh.
This shows how much energy we're using to heat our home and how much better we can make it if we put more insulation in there or make it more airtight. And then I also write up a work scope. See, it's like instructions for a contractor about how to do all of the improvements to the house to make it better. And then I do some more math and figure out how much money we can give someone if they do this project. Okay, so I've done the energy assessment of your home, and the next step is a follow-up meeting where we'll go over a report together, and I'll share all the results from my assessment with you. And then we'll discuss a work scope, which includes all of my recommendations for making your home more energy efficient. The work scope will also list all the incentives that the Community Energy Challenge can contribute to your project to buy down your out-of-pocket costs. Okay, let's get started.
Eric, would you like to let people know kind of a little window into what happens in these meetings and what next steps are? And kind of clarify the relationship between the CEC and the contractors, since we're kind of an independent organization of that step.
Yeah, sorry, I missed part of your question, but you're asking to elaborate on this part of the process, the follow-up.
Yeah, just what happens next after the energy audit, and how do we kind of help people move forward beyond that?
Yeah. Well, so when we're out at your home, we take a bunch of measurements, obviously get a bunch of hard numbers. And then we have some software that we use where we put all of our actual measurements into it, and it estimates as best as it can how much energy the house uses per year. And then we write up a report and share all that information along with our most important observations to the homeowner. And then in the same software, we create a work scope and then give like an itemized list of the savings that each recommended improvement is estimated to achieve if they did that. And so we share that info with the homeowners too. And then you saw a quick snapshot of what the work scope looks like that we share with the homeowner that has like the specific details about how to accomplish those improvements in their home, because there's always unique details for every home. Insulating the attic doesn't look the same for every home. So, we get into all the details and then we estimate the amount of money that the homeowner can get from the utility company and then also from the Community Energy Challenge. And so then we estimate what their out-of-pocket project cost would be. We take like an hour and a half and go over all that information shortly after the audit.
Thanks, Eric. Good question, Emily. So here's how you end it.
Okay. Any questions?
His job is to go in attics and crawl spaces, and he works for the Opportunity Council. Energy efficiency is being responsible with the amount of electricity you use. The energy efficiency helps your home need less electricity so that it can help the environment. Energy efficiency is important in your home because it saves up your money and the environment is saved a little bit. And you can do it too.
You have some awesome kids there, Eric and Laura, I have to say. So the last couple of minutes is like outtakes, which I think we'll move on from for now, but we're going to find a place to post this somewhere because it's pretty darn cute. So I'm going to stop sharing this here and hand it over to Emily.
Yeah, thanks so much again, Eric and Laura. Like, that's really fun. And I just love seeing it through the eyes of the little guys. Yeah, so I hope at least the concept that someone who's well trained like Eric can really bring a lot of value to your energy efficiency upgrade process with equipment and knowledge and modeling software and rebates and other resources you might not have on your own. You can, see it as someone who's really on your team to help you get the best outcome. I wanted to just run through really quickly some more detailed pictures, things that you can kind of do a little self-assessment to see if your house is maybe in the category who could really benefit from this process. So I'm going to share a very short PowerPoint. Pressing the share screen button. Yeah, there we go. So everybody see that? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Start the slideshow. So I grabbed, go back. There we go. I grabbed some of these images from a campaign through Energy Star called the Rule Your Attic campaign. If you want to go to their website, and I can drop this into the chat when the PowerPoint's done, they kind of outline some of these self-assessment points that you can look for. But basically, like Eric mentioned, there's a lot of different places there could be air leaks in your attic. And some of them are really obvious things and other things you could maybe only identify with a blower door running at the time. But common places, anywhere can you see my little computer mouse pointing? I think so. Yeah, anywhere that construction's been joined together is potentially a place where there's an air leak. Ducts could have cracks or gaps. Cam lights that aren't, there's ways to insulate over them properly and safely, but that's a common place for air leakage. Access hatches, always a weak point. And then again, kind of at the top of the wall plate, there's a potential for a lot of air meeting outside. So these are places where you can kind of start your visual inspection. As far as insulation levels, that's really one good place to look to see if it's adequate, and something that the Rule Your Attic site has some good information on. You can use a simple ruler as your tool. That's why it's called Rule Your Attic, and do your own measurement. You're wanting to see the insulation going up past just the joists from kind of a standard construction, and seeing those 13 to 14 inches of insulation at least to know that you've got an adequate amount. So that's one of the things to measure. Really simple. If it's below that, you might want to call someone and be evaluated for upgrading insulation. Just as far as take a look again, here's insulation that doesn't come up past the joists. You can see it's kind of compressed in different areas. It's definitely doing something, it's helping, but it's not really adequate for what they've determined we need in our climate. That's a real easy one. Another thing, sometimes you'll see black or gray spots on the insulation, and it's possible it's mold, but often what that means is there's an air leak there, and what you're seeing is the dust getting caught in the insulation as the air flows through that place over and over again. So that can be a good sign that you want to do an air sealing process. And again, you can't, this is one of those where visually you can't really see necessarily that there's a leak there, but a blower door could help identify that. This is a crawl space under the house. So first thing, notice just that there's no floor insulation. And if any of these are, water pipes, you would want those insulated as well. I had a burst pipe last year. That was really not cool. So that's something you might want to address. And then in a crawl space like this, there should be a vapor barrier down on the ground, because as water evaporates out of the soil, you don't want it evaporating up into your floorboards. So again, these are really quick things. If you see something like this, it's really clear there's room for improvement. So this one, you can see again, this rock wool insulation doesn't come up to the top of the joists, and you can see knob and tube wiring, which unfortunately, sometimes when you start this process, you find kind of an order of operations of other things that need to get addressed first, and upgrading your wiring to something more modern that has more safety features would probably be the first order of business, and then you could feel safe and secure insulating over that with an appropriate level of insulation. And again, this is under a house. These are the more obvious air leaks. Like we saw that one where there was kind of, you were looking for secondary clues like the dirty insulation. There's obviously holes in the floor, and air sealing was not addressed when this work was done. It's not something you'd want to be addressing, because one thing about airflow and air leaks and why we're talking about it so much, you can have all the insulation in the world. They really work together. If you have a leaky house, insulation is not going to do its job the way you want it to. And one thing about air and kind of the physics there is that a relatively small space of air leakage, or somewhere where there's not insulation, or somewhere where there's like maybe metal, and so cold air, or just the cold from the outside can kind of transfer through whatever the building material is, a relatively small part can have a proportionately large impact on your comfort. So this might seem like a little bit, but this is, one of the key problems of why this particular room isn't feeling great for you. And again, ductwork, you can see there's just a straight up gap here. And so that would need to be sealed and addressed. And I'm telling you to like go crawl around and look around in your attic and do these things. If you see insulation that looks like tiny rocks, don't do any of these things, because it's probably vermiculite, which doesn't automatically have asbestos, but a lot of the time does. And that's instead of ruling your own attic, that's call an expert right away to make sure that the hazard can be dealt with first. So I want to point that out. Anything Mark or Eric wants to add for kind of self-assessment tools here?
Well, I was just going to add, don't scoop up vermiculite in your hands like that if you do find it in your house.
Yeah, I know. Maybe I should have put this picture. It's not a best practice.
Mhm.
So I'm going to pass it off to Mark. I don't have the chat open. Okay, we go. I will open the chat. If anyone has questions, we can talk about that for a minute. But Mark is going to kind of bring it on home, showing some completed or in progress deeper energy efficiency upgrades. Great.
And I'll just cruise through these things, but I just wanted to show some a particularly exciting project that happened a couple years ago in Community Energy Challenge, and was just recently accepted 2 weeks ago into the 1,000 Homes Challenge. That's a national program that tries to highlight and demonstrate the practicability and possibilities of reducing a home's total energy use by 70% or more. So these are deep energy retrofits we're talking about. In this case, there's a home in, sorry.
I do just want to do a little time check. We have about 10 minutes left, although this is the last event, so happy to stay later.
Thank you. And we'll try to get this done. Let me just flip through a few slides. Here's the family that lives there and undertook this project. And this is their home, a 1900 built house. We did deeper energy retrofits than we do on a normal Community Energy Challenge project, but they took these measures on. And I'll just show pictures of a couple of these. To start off, the home had these existing old natural gas furnace and water heater. So that's something in a super tight home like they were creating, you wouldn't really want. So they were taking those out and getting rid of any open combustion appliances. The home had no insulation, no previous air sealing. So it was estimated that this home would use around 44,000 kilowatt hours annually of energy use. So they just did several things that were pretty impressive. They basically thickened the walls, adding these 2x3 service cavities, which they would later insulate, and they did lots of air sealing around the home. They dense packed outside the home and then put in these rock wool bats on the inside. Did lots of kind of cutting edge air sealing using special air sealing tapes and caulking. Here you can see the attic before it's insulated. It's all sealed and ready, and they're going to add in R60 insulation. Down in the crawl space, down in the crawl space, they got 9 inches of insulation in there, blown in dense pack insulation. Not usually how we do it. Usually put fiberglass bats. They also got this very high efficiency heat pump water heater that served not only domestic hot water use, but also their hydronic radiant heat. And so for that, they did this tubing and the ceilings, which is supplied their space heating. There it is in more of a finished state with the sheetrock installed over that, kind of their radiant heating inside. And then they had added balanced ventilation. So this is an HRV, or heat recovery ventilator, which basically captures heat that's being exhausted from air in the house and bringing fresh air in and transferring that heat to the incoming air. So they're basically recovering 90% of the heat that would otherwise go out of the house. The home was super tight after they did all this work, so very little air leakage. And here you can see kind of what you started with and what they ended with here in terms of improvements. And overall, it resulted in about an 85% reduction in energy use. So pretty remarkable. Again, this is an atypical project, but I wanted to highlight it because it was just recognized in this national program. And it's just such a cool project. These are the more standard things we'll do, like in a standard CEC retrofit project, air sealing around those like floor penetrations, or sealing ducts with mastic. That's the white substance there. And in attics, blowing in insulation. Here you have cellulose insulation blown in, probably R60 or so. Wall insulation, it's a little hard to get a visual, but this is just a picture of the process of blowing in dense pack wall insulation from the outside of the home. So removing some siding, drilling holes in, and then blowing the insulation in to fill those cavities. And then
Mark, I get questions about that a lot because people are afraid it'll damage their siding, but especially with this type, you will hardly notice it happen once it's over.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you for bringing that up. And then floors, again, these are fiberglass bats that are tied with twine up to the floor. So we'll add comfort and insulated value there. So that's kind of what the standard finished products look like. I just wanted to throw in one slide again of our process for people who might be interested in having an audit done on their home. You can contact Community Energy Challenge, schedule an audit. Someone will come out to your home, and then as you saw in the video, the home energy advisor will meet with you to go over the results and share recommendations. Then you would hire a contractor of your choice to do that work. We can recommend some who do this work, but it's up to you to do that. And then we'll do a quality assurance inspection at the end to make sure the work was done right and it's going to achieve the kinds of energy savings that we predicted. And then finally, one of the great things about this program is you get a check. So CEC provides incentives for folks who go through our program to do this work. Our typical incentive is around 20% of project costs. Also, earlier, Emily mentioned our moderate income program, and there we have higher incentives of around 45% of project costs. So when you call, if you're interested in that and learning more, call us or go to our website, and there is the contact information, our office number, our website, and I'm always happy to talk about ways we can work with you to improve the energy efficiency and comfort and durability and safety of your home. So I am going to stop sharing there, and I guess we'll open it up if anyone has questions. I haven't totally been tracking in the chat if there are some other questions that have come up. But
Thank you so much, Mark. I really appreciate that. And Emily, thank you too. And Eric, what a very, very cute video. My goodness. Thank you so much to you and your wife for making that and sharing it. We really appreciate it. And I do just want to drive home. It is really, really great to get an energy audit done at your home. One, it's cool to just see the performance of your home. You might not know, you might think that you're doing a great job and maybe you're not. So it's cool to just, be able to sit down with an energy advisor and details, and then also see where you can improve on your energy efficiency and get money to help do that. I know some of the questions from earlier workshops today were a lot about affordability, and some of the stuff that we saw is really high performing energy efficiency upgrades and new remodels. And I do want to really drive home that this program is for everyone, especially the moderate income folks, people who might not be able to afford the really lavish remodeling. It's fancy underpants for sure. And everyone can participate in this. The whole point is that every house should be energy efficient, and we want to help you do that. So make sure that you contact Mark or Wendy at the Community Energy Challenge to get your home retrofitted. It's a really great program, and we'd love to help hand out some incentives to make that happen for you. And just another plug for the commercial side as well. If you own any businesses and you're interested in having the same process done for your small business, we offer the same exact program for small businesses and offer really great incentives for that as well. And I did see a question in there about the cost, which was answered. I just want to also say there is a small fee, but you are guaranteed to make that money back and more by doing one project. So you're really going to save a lot of money. It's a no-brainer for sure.
Yeah, thanks everyone. I've had the Community Energy Challenge do an audit on my house twice, 10 years apart, just to see how well I did. And yeah, unbelievable amount of information, even for somebody that thinks they know everything. Anyway, thanks so much, you guys. We look forward. We'll keep the room open if there's anybody that wants to continue having conversations. But otherwise, we'll see you all tomorrow, 10 a.m.
I do see a few more questions in the chat if you guys want to answer those.
Yeah, and I think the question about our service territory, if people are still on it, have that question. We serve a 4-county area: Whatcom, Skagit, Island, and San Juan counties. So we don't serve King, unfortunately, or Everett.
Snohomish.
Thank you. Oh my gosh. But yeah, so that's our service territory, and yeah.